Welcome to Death Talk Unscripted, the podcast that challenges conventional thinking about our final farewells. Hi, my name is Paula Adams, and I'm a death walker. Today, I'm going to dive into a topic that is often overlooked, but offers what I consider a legacy that has echoes through the halls of the science and education. And if you've listened to any of my podcasts, I try to stay in that realm with a little bit of spirituality. I really bombard the taboos and the religious dogma that gets attached to death in this country and especially in our society. So, what is this topic that you ask? Body donation. We all know that funeral and cremation costs, man, they're out of control, and they're not going to be going down anytime sooner because a lot of people are dying. The largest population that this country has ever seen, what is known as the baby boomers, well, we're dropping like flies. So there's a lot of money in death in this country. It's a capitalistic venture. So basically what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about how the body donation is an alternative. And many people who come to my death talks, to my death cafes, who write me emails, who I work with to do death plans, who I death walk, they all are looking for alternative ways to alleviate the financial strain, but they're also looking to leave some sort of legacy, to leave a meaningful impact on the world. And a lot of that time can mean foregoing a traditional funeral or the traditional cremation, and finding and seeking new out-of-the-box concepts. This one is not, but there are many. And I'll talk about those somewhere down the line. So I'd like you to join me as we explore the ins and outs of body donation. And I should stop here for a minute and just say that I have actively participated in 3 body donations. So I'm going to be telling a little bit of those stories as we go along as well. I'm going to unravel some of the misconceptions, and I hope that I can reveal, and I kind of hope that I can put the vibe out how this could be your last gift, could be what I consider a really priceless contribution to medical research and education. I think death education is very important, and I think that we should implement death education to upcoming doctors and upcoming nurses. Nurses do get to see the side of it, but a lot of doctors do not actually know the dying process. They simply they've never participated in it or they just hand it off because that's how the hierarchy works. Whether you're considering this option for yourself, or maybe one of your loved ones or a friend or somebody is talking about it, then I'll try to provide you the information that you need to make an informed decision, and everybody should be able to make informed decisions about their death. I believe autonomy, dignity, dying on your terms, dying however you want. That's kind of sort of my path. So come with me. In the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to embark on this little journey, and we're going to kind of discover the profound legacy that one can leave behind in the name of progress and even innovation with this death movement moving in. So let's start redefining how we consider the act of burial and what a gift of giving is truly about. So let's dive right in. I'm going to talk first of all about the places in the United States that offer body donation. There are several reputable programs and facilities across the country that accept whole body donations. There is a difference between whole body donations and organ donations. So I'm talking about the full body donations. I'll do the organ donations in another session. So here's some of the most popular ones. Science Care seems to be the number one. And I have specifically dealt with Science Care. And they have locations in Arizona, California, Colorado, Denver, Florida, Illinois, Nevada, New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, which is where I actually have used it twice in the state of Texas, and Wisconsin is the last one. The second one is the Mayo Clinic. This one I have used not through the Minnesota campus. We used the Mayo Clinic, and it was then taken to Houston, Texas. The Mayo Clinic had a sister hospital there, so the body went there. More than likely, when you do go through the Mayo Clinic, and I do suggest that if this is something that you're looking at seriously, get in touch with the Mayo Clinic now, because as you can imagine, they do have a pretty good waiting list, and they're not always open. They're not always open and available body donation spots. So beware of that. Research for Life. This offers a guaranteed donor program and operates in multiple states. This is a sister company. It's really good. It guarantees the full donor program. This one also breaks down a little bit about other organs, but I'm not going to go into that. So that's why I just said it's available in multiple states. And you should really get online and look it up. It will come into a future podcast because I will be talking about specific organ donation, but for now, not so much. And the last thing is cremation services. Excuse me. Various organizations offer no-cost cremations, and these options in the United States. There's several states like Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Pennsylvania. I'm missing 2. Illinois, and I think Texas maybe? Anyways, by cremation service, we are just talking about when the body organ donation is accepted, they provide the cremation services for what's left of the body. Now, I talked a little bit earlier in regards to the cost, and we are in 2025, and most of us never figured that we would be using eggs sparingly and for special occasions. We never figured that the amount of homeless people would be the middle class. We never figured that rent would be 4 times what an average car payment would be. And so we're all stumbling around, and we're in financial crisis for the most part. Most of us are living check to check, and 3/4 of us probably don't even have a savings account. And if we do, we're having to reach into that on a regular basis. So with that in mind, and 2025 kind of being the year of don't waste money, I thought I would break down the cost for you guys with a casket funeral, a cremation, and a body donation. So that's pretty much what the categories are going to be. And then I'll have an expense category that I'll be calling out at the same time. So service fees. These can be anything from administration fees to in-house applications, permits, anything along those lines that are needed. For a casket funeral, you're looking at $1,500 to $3,000. This is a broad, there's a broad number in there because it really does depend on what state you're in and what part of the country you're in for those kind of prices, and also what kind of taste you have. The cremation for the service fees is $1,000 to $2,500. For body donation, it's $0 to $200. I will explain that $200 in a little bit. I'll come back to that. Under the expense category, we do have casket and urns. For a casket funeral, it's anywhere from $900 to $15,000 for what the typical market of casket buying is what I looked at. I didn't look at the super extravagant, and I didn't look at the super cheap. I took that middle of the line number there. For cremation, it was between $30 and $500 for the urn. This I did go low to high, but I didn't go extravagant rosewood or solid gold or anything like that. So that price would be if you're going to do that. For the casket and urns, of course, the body donation, you won't have one. I mean, it's just non-applicable. Unless, the only way I say that is different, unless when the cremation comes back to your home of your loved one and you choose to have a special box or something to put it in, then of course there will be a cost there. For the most part, when you get the ashes back from one of these places, they are in a very biodegradable, beautiful, beautiful box or heart or rectangle or whatever shape it is. And most of them can be buried, and a plant will come alive. There will be a rose bush. They have multiple wildflowers. I mean, it's unbelievable. So for me, there is no cost for that. And if you're talking about really going environmentally, safe, then by all means, I dropped the whole box in. And that's kind of sort of what I did. My partner, who lived in Texas for a little while, he ended up having the body donation. And when they sent back his ashes, which was in a small little heart box, but it was all biodegradable, and it was a beautiful, beautiful yellow rose bush. And so I was able to take it to his favorite fishing hole, and I planted it, and I hope it's still there, but I haven't been back to Texas or that spot in a very long time, so it may not be. A burial plot and prep. For a casket funeral, it's anywhere from $2,000 to $6,500. For cremation, it's not applicable, and for body donation, it's not applicable. Transportation. For a casket funeral, it could be $300 to $500, and for transportation, it's transporting the body. It's for maybe the transportation fees to and from the funeral home, or from the funeral home to the cemetery. Cremation, $200 to $500, and this is the body. This is the body transportation, transporting the body. $200 would be somewhere in the state that you're living in. Anything over and up to $500, and even a little more if you are having to transport the body to another state. For instance, if you're going to do MAID in one of the 11 states that allow medical aid in dying, but you plan to be buried in Florida, then there will be a transportation fee of the body to go from, let's say you went to Arizona back to Florida. So whatever that transportation fee is, it could be $500, it could be higher. For body donations, it's $0 to $200. Most places aren't going to charge you anything. But again, if you are going from Washington to Florida, absolutely, they may have a body transfer charge just for their drivers and for setting up on their end. Now, going back to the service fees for body donation, I said $0 to $200. It could be as much as $200 because there will be service fees, applicable fees, taxes, transports, permits, and everything that will have to be filed if the transportation fee is in the mix of the total experience. So you're looking at a total cost for a casket funeral from $4,700 to $32,500. Cremation, $1,530 to $4,500. Body donation, $0 to $900. I put $900 on the side, on the high side, because I did take a fact that if I died in Oregon and I needed to be buried in Texas, I calculated the mileage and did all those numbers. So, as you can see, my point here is body donation is definitely in the realm of a doable dead body experience to do with your body. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the details when it comes to body donation. Body donation involves donating your entire body after death, and these are the criteria, these are the sections or the topics that they will go under: medical research, education, and training purposes. So let's talk about the purpose. Donated bodies are used to teach anatomy, practice surgical techniques, and conduct medical research. I'll give you a little example. My partner, the one that I talked about earlier, he was born with the condition of myocardiopathy, which is an enlargement of the heart. And it kept progressing, and when he hit 69, there were other health things, but that was one of the major things that crashed when something else began. So when he died, he did the body donation, We did end up going through the hospital. They took care of it through the Mayo Clinic, and the Mayo Clinic then sent it to Houston. It was all done under the umbrella of the Harris Hospital program. But anyways, specifically, he had requested that his body be looked at for medical research for his heart, for the myocardiopathy. He requested that for him, his final legacy would be for them to research his heart, study the heart, and hopefully, and genetics, the whole 9 yards, and come up with some sort of maybe cure or something that would help with the whole myocardiopathy. He also had the sickle cell trait, so that went into another category that he wanted. So in the end, his heart was kept, and they have made great... When I received the notice after it was done, because I was the partner, and I received a notice saying that the heart was yielding a lot of research when it came to myocardiopathy, and they were very grateful for it. The sickle cell, they came back, and of course they were grateful just to have another trait and another genetic composition to look at. So I felt very good about that. That made me feel like that's what he would have wanted. He would have wanted to be used for something that had a purpose, something that would have an end goal for other people. So it worked really well. The process, again, I'll just use my experience here, is after the death and after all the goodbyes have said and everything like that, then the program that you or the dying dead person has chosen, you make a phone call. The body is transported from there to the donation facility, wherever that is. You don't get to see the body anymore after that. You don't get to visit the body. Your last chance is to be with the person that has died, is in those moments before they come to transport the body away. And like I said, I already discussed, once it gets to the facility, it will go through an intake process. There is some red tape involved, but it's on their end. To get signed up for body donation, it's really relatively fairly easy, and I'll go over that in a little bit. In fact, I'll go over it next. So there it's going to be decided which way, from what to what subtopic it's going to go into: medical research, anatomy, education, surgical practices, wherever that's implemented. The criteria. Most of these programs do have a specific criteria. Some of them have age and health conditions, but I should tell you this. Generally, older age and chronic conditions, they do not disqualify you to be a donor. So don't feel like, oh, I'm too old, my body's decrepit, oh, I got nothing to offer. Don't think like that. Make the inquiry. Find out, because you would be so stunned by what's coming up. And again, I refer back to the baby boomer and all the ways that we are dying and all the conditions we have and the health issues. I mean, it's just horrendous. So even more so coming up, well, these things need to be looked at so that we don't continue to have this many preconditions to dying. So don't think you don't get qualified. Legal and ethical standards. I already kind of sort of went over this. Donations are governed by a strict legal and ethical standards, period. And this is to ensure consent and proper use. So when my partner discussed it with me about what he wanted to do with the body donations and how he wanted to break it down, then we made the phone call, we talked to the people, and they guided us from there. We did, and I will stop and say this right now. If you are considering body donation, please do yourself a favor and your family a favor. Sit down and tell them that that's what you're considering before you're a month away from it happening, or 2 days from it happening, or whatever. Even though it is the right practical thing for you as the dying person to choose, it's a legacy that you want to be a part of. It's whether it's eco-friendly or it's just something that you have always felt compelled to do, then I suggest that you do let your family know, because it is very hard on them, especially those with morals and ethics that are more religious bound, that are more sacred body bound, that require a certain kind of a burial or a certain kind of a body to be buried. This all needs to be priorly discussed so that they have time to process it, and so that you may also hear what their concerns are, because it's very important. It doesn't alter your choice. Your choice is your choice, and I am all for that. And if your family doesn't get on board with it, then they will have a long time after you are dead to figure out how and to work through it and become okay with it. But at the same time, if you, the dying person, are asking for respect and dignity and autonomy, then by the same token, it must be given to the people who are going to be with you on that ride, that are going to, come along and stay by you until your last breath is taken. So again, it's why I always suggest death talks, death talks, death talks. Make it a normal conversation. If you're going to go have Bloody Marys on Sunday, talk about this. If you're going to have a big family barbecue, bring it up. It's not that hard, especially in this day and age. And if it is hard, then there are a couple things that you can easily kind of move into. And one of the things is, hey, anybody ever heard of body donation? That will get you started. That will kind of weed out who you would lean to discuss this with and who is going to have a tough time with this. So it's very important on that legal and ethical standards that you understand that ethical not only applies to the program and to the dead person, but it kind of also applies to the people around you who are going to be participating in that procedure, whether they choose to or not. They're simply involved because they are part of the family. The environmental impact. This I would have put up a little further than like the fifth one down, but hey. Body donation is eco-friendly, and it's alternative to burial methods. There's not the shellac, there's no embalming fluids, there's not the stain, there's not the metal caskets, the linen, the satin. None of that really breaks down. And if it does, when it finally does, the body, the jewelry, the clothing, everything like that, it's so toxic that it invades the landscape. It really does do an awful number to our soil, and it doesn't yield a very productive or purposeful land other than to bury people with. So, just make sure that when you think of body donations, yes, financial is a very, very good aspect. And for some of you, it may be the top one. And it will save the family thousands of dollars. It really will. So if they need that to get on their feet, to continue paying their bills or whatever, this is real talk, people. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to, talk pleasantly about it. Let's just be straight. There are some people who are going to be motivated to do the pine box and the simple shroud, to do the natural home burial compost. And yes, while it is sacred, and yes, while it is returning to earth on a natural and eco-friendly basis, make no mistake, it's a fiscal thing too. It costs a lot of money to die in this country the way we have it set up. Too much money, if you ask me personally. So I'm going to kind of just now take a little breath. You can do it with me. I gave you a lot of information, and it was kind of raw and detailed, and maybe some of you considered it a little bit too blunt. So just breathe for a minute. Okay. Now I'm going to go over the do's and don'ts for body donation. Do. Research, and choose a reputable program. Not only should it be reputable, but it should be something that you look into, if you're going to do the medical aid in dying, if you are going to have if you're not sure, where you're going to die, maybe you live 6 months here and 6 months there. When you're looking for the program, make sure that you find a program that's going to encompass where and what particular point in life you're at. Make sure that it is available in that state. If not, how many states away is it? What's the criteria, of course? So ensure that the program is accredited. That is so important. Next thing, complete the necessary paperwork. Fill out all the forms, provide the necessary documentation. But the number one thing above all is, if you are even considering body donation, find a program, call them as soon as possible, and get on a list. You can get on a list even though you're nowhere near dying. So if this is something that you are thinking about, not only do the research, but if you find the one that you want, and the one that trips your trigger or sends you a good vibe or just hits you in the face and says, that's it, baby, that's the one I'm going to, contact him right then and there. Get the stuff going. Next, I talked about this a little bit under the legal and ethical. Inform your family members. Maybe that's a better way for me to have said it, but I thought I would gently put you into the conversation. Let your family know about your decision. Like I said, your decision is your decision, and I absolutely back it 100% because I want to choose how, when, where I die, period. But I also understand that I want my family to be a part of it. I want them to understand why I've chosen this. I want them to be a part of what my last final act on this earth is going to be. And while I respect and honor what their ethical and morals issue are, if they don't or can't come around to this, then I'm okay with them stepping away. It's okay for you to step away. For those that are truly meant to be, they will truly meant to be. But I was open and I brought up the conversation, but I'm not afraid to talk about death, about anything. So when I say this, I know it sounds very easy breezy, but you have to remember, I was brought up this way since the age of 3 or 4. So and I would like it to be as easy and breezy for you. So that's why I make it sound the way it is, because it just takes a certain opening statement like, hey guys, I want to talk to you about my body when I die. That's a really good opening line. I've been thinking lately, and whether I'm at the midlife crisis or whatever, maybe I'm getting older, maybe you're at you just retired and you're really thinking about your death. And an opening line would be, hey, I've been thinking about my death, and I have a funeral burial thing going on, but I've given some rethought, and I just wanted to know there's so many ways to start the conversation. So the next thing is follow the program guidelines. Adhere to the specific requirements and instructions that we'll provide. This is more for the caregiver or the spouse or whoever is left living when the person's body is ready to be transported. This is where you must follow the program guidelines. You must also, if you've set up that you're going to do medical aid in Oregon and they're going to pick you up in Oregon, but then you decide to go to Canada, okay, you're not following the program guidelines, so you're probably not, that body's not going to be picked up, period. Stay informed. Keep your contact information up to date with them, especially if you pre-registered. I really do like that word. But if you are a pre-register, then every couple years, keep up to date. Write them a deal, give them your information, make sure that you're still on the list. Just follow up, just like you would a life insurance policy or anything else. Here we go into the don'ts. Do not ignore the eligibility criteria. Make sure that you have checked all the boxes, you have dotted all the I's, and the T's to get into the program before signing up. Because if you don't, then after you sign up, I can absolutely tell you that it will be a nightmare. A nightmare. And they devise it that way because they don't want you to ignore the eligibility criteria. So whatever program you choose, make sure that you are very clear on the criteria to be eligible for that. If you're not clear, they have 800 numbers. Get clear. You know, this is your final act. This is your last hoorah of having any decision about what's left of you on this planet after you take your last breath. So make it count. Forget to notify family. I use the word forget, but some people deliberately don't want to do that. They want to sidestep and they don't want to talk about it. And they think, oh, well, they'll know when it happens. This is not good. I have never seen it work out well as a death walker. You want to talk about leaving a trail of baggage. You want to talk about trauma and emotions flying off the handle, and you get lost. Your death becomes something else. It becomes, oh, they lied. Oh my gosh, look what they did to us. There becomes resentment and everything. It's not necessary. I guarantee you, somewhere in your family lineages, in the tribe, in the people that you hang out with, there is a person who is ready, willing, and able to stand by your side and help you not only go through the process, but if they're a family member, they're going to help the other family members accept it as well. It's very important to have people inclusive of what you're doing. This isn't I'm going to do it all by myself kind of thing. Don't do that. Failure to complete the paperwork. This happens more times than I care to even think about it. It also happens too when people are filling out their death plan, either with their medical directive or their trust or their living will. They fail to complete the paperwork. 47% of people fail to complete the paperwork. I don't know how to address this other than saying, well, you're going to end up with a dead body and nowhere to have it go. So follow through. Play the whole tape through. If you signed up and you have paperwork that they sent back to you, fill it out, get it back to them, get on the list, put it down, and let's put a big old checkbox in front of that. The last thing is just kind of silly, but I thought I would have to throw it in there because, well, I like to keep things straight and to the point. Disregard program instructions. We talked a little bit about this. If you made arrangements for the body to be picked up in Oregon and you end up in Canada, then you have disregarded the program instructions. If you disregard the program instructions, do not be surprised at all when they don't come pick up your body. And no, you don't get to sue them. You don't get to do anything like that because you disregarded the program instructions. So be very clear, because now this is a plan. This is a death plan, just like a casket, funeral, just like a cremation. It's exactly the same concept, and it should be taken seriously, and it should be implemented to the best ability of either the caregiver, the dying person, or who's ever in charge. Period. Okay, the eligibility criteria for body donation. This is very, very, very broad, and I just thought I would bring it up and put it in here because it is something that needs to be said. But I highly suggest that you, when you research, that you ask more questions. Who is eligible? Age? Typically, donors must be at least 18 years or older. Very few places take under the age of 18. But again, this is something, if it's serious medical research, if it's something for a child, maybe it was a rare disease or something along those lines, then those are extenuating circumstances. Health status. Donors should be free from infectious diseases and certain medical conditions. And these will be listed on their websites. There aren't many, but there are a couple that would put everybody in danger due to cutting open the body or practicing on the body or anything like that. Their body is a health hazard. No significant trauma. Donors should not have experienced significant trauma or injury at the time of death. If you just crashed, if your loved one, let me rephrase that. If a car accident victim comes in and they are mangled and the body is so traumatized and there's so much injury, there's so much significant trauma in the brain, maybe in the heart, maybe their bones, then even if they did sign up for body donation, they will not be eligible. There's just nothing that they can do with that body. Who is not eligible? I kind of went over this. The infectious diseases, it's active infections or certain communicable diseases are not eligible. Severe trauma, we talked about that. Certain medical conditions, some medical conditions such as severe obesity or very, very certain cancers that they already have so many donations for that particular cancer that it may disqualify a donor. So be sure, if you're calling and saying that your condition is cancer, make sure that you write in the type of cancer, the prognosis, as much information, give that to them. Precautions. These are some things that you should do just to, be on the safe side. Notify family and healthcare members. Ensure your family and your healthcare providers make sure that they know your choice. Make sure they know your decision. You're kind of the leader of the band. It's all about you. So be the leader and let everybody know what's going to happen. If there's any legal documentations based on your state or your trust or your will, go ahead and get that taken care of. There are some medications that will disqualify you or affect your eligibility. So when you call that center, ask them about the medications, what medications they would consider for you to be ineligible as a donor. The last thing, and I threw this in because I'm a positive kind of girl and I have a little bit of a weird sense of humor. Maintain good health. While you cannot control anything or the circumstances of your death, try to take the best care of your body if you're going to be a body donor. I mean, if that's what you're donating, try not to, make it a hot toxic mess before, they get you on the slab. So if you can do all that, then your body will be accepted. And so I guess for me, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of close it there. I thought it would be a good note to close out on. Body donation, in my opinion, is a pretty cool little legacy to leave. I mean, there are lots of them. I have lots of legacy ideas. But to me, the body donation speaks volumes. I mean, if we're comparing it to a traditional burial or just the typical cremation processes, then yeah, body donation to me is a gentler, kinder, and a sweeter way to leave this time and place. So with that, I'm going to bow out. I know you have a lot to think about. I gave you so much information. If you have to re-listen to it, please feel free to. So I'm just going to say, big breath in, big breath out. Thanks for tuning in. And again, however I can help, just reach out. You can reach me through my email. You can reach me through messaging on any of the podcast sites. I have a YouTube channel. Just look for Paula Adams, Death Walker. Peace out, everyone. Take care.